Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
The long songs, I'll wait for the clip to play when I never click play in the first place. But anyway, we're live. It's going to be a fun one today. Going to be talking about comedy TV shows. But we've got a fun panel here. We've got Chad. Chad, how's it going?
Okay, sorry. I had to unmute myself. It's going great. I like laughing in the 2010s, and I love TV. So let's make some of that stuff.
And on the other side of the room, we've got Kerry. Kerry, how's it going?
Going great, thanks. Oh, sorry.
Light it up when he's ready.
She's gonna leave and come back. She says it's going great, and she loves.
I mean, you can be on the same screen if you want.
Yeah, if you want to. If you want to be like just
What
back
are we
here,
gonna do when Elliot has to go to bed?
I will take him upstairs.
All right, hold on.
But anyway, last but not least, we've got JPO. JPO, how's it going?
I also like to laugh in the 2010s. And then I stopped in the 2020s. I said no more, but I laughed in this decade. So, and I got Elliot. Don't worry, I got it. Just let me know.
But anyway, it's actually been a while since we've actually last did a TV episode, but it's good to actually do another one of these. But Chad, what is the first TV show you're going to bring up?
I forgot I was going to be first. I have to pull up my list. I'm so sorry. I'm not prepared. All right. Here we go. I am going to bring.
Wow, Chad, real way to be professional. As I also
look at my list. Not at all. Okay, now I have my list. I'm going to bring up It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think that is one of the best ones. It's not purely 2010s, but it has existed in 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. So it's one of those where it's persisted for a long time, but I feel like some of its best stuff has been in the 2010s. I love all of the characters in this. Basically, the premise of the show is that it's just a group of assholes that, you know, they.
I am going to. I don't mean to do this to you straight off the bat, Chad.
Yes.
I did say in the chat that it can't have started before 2009.
I'm sorry?
It's always sunny started
2009.
Yeah. It's always sunny started in 2005.
Oh, I thought as long as it like spanned the entire decade, it's fine. But okay.
No. I said as long as.
Someone didn't read the chat.
I did. Yeah. I just didn't understand it. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then I'll choose a different one. All right. I'll choose The Good Place. I think The Good Place is one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. It's not a very long show, but like what we got, I think, is basically perfection. I think one could call it one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. And yeah, you get like a lot of really great actors in it. You get Chris Bell, other people. What's his name from Cheers? That I'm not pulling the name. Ted Danson. Ted Danson is better than I've ever seen him in that show. He's hilarious in it. I love how you have the balance of heaven, hell, and medium, and the whole idea of what exists in morality, whereas can you even be moral if you are, you know, even like buying things on the internet and stuff like that, and then that stuff isn't moral and things like that. So I love how it explores morality and explores human connections, and would you even want to live in like a heaven for a very, very long time. You know, what would it then start? Would life then be meaningless? Kind of a deal. So it does have a lot of really great deep stuff to explore, but it's also one of the funniest shows that I've ever seen, with just references and jokes like every few minutes that just has you rolling. So I think it's basically a perfect show. I love it, and yeah, The Good Place.
Kiri, what do you say about The Good Place?
Yeah, this isn't working. I say yes to The Good Place. I really love that show. I think it's hilarious. There's
I'm sorry.
I'll just
ahead.
end there. It's a yes for me. I really love The Good Place.
JPO, what do you say about The Good Place?
Yes, for me, actually. This is one of the few ones that I actually probably would have been legitimately upset if it didn't make the list, because I love this show to pieces. Season one premise starts off with a fun premise of, Kristen Bell is kind of a D-bag, and they got it mixed up as to why she's in the good place, and they have her identity mixed up. But that's literally just the premise of season one. It continues to grow and grow from there. It was very good at constantly expanding the story here. Like the premise of season one is different from two, which is kind of different from three, and it ends literally beautifully. Like the final season literally also has you in tears. Like, it's funny. It's got a great cast. You mentioned dancing. I loved everyone. I fell in love with the entire cast. I fell in love with Chidi. I fell in love with Jason. I fell in love with even what was the robotic AI help girl?
Janet.
Karen?
Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Everyone got to shine in the end, and had some good guest stars too, popping up here and there. Maya Rudolph at the end, and yeah, this is a huge yes. This is definitely top tier of this decade for me. Top tier probably of all time, to be honest. I love the show.
I'm not as high on The Good Place as other people are. I do still think it's a good show. I'm still saying yes to it. But I've just got a lot of other shows I really like more than this. But yeah, it's still going to be yes. It's still going to make the list regardless of what even if I said no to it anyway. But yeah. But with that, we are going to go to Kiri next. So Kiri, what is the next TV show you're going to bring up?
I think Carrie's still setting up, actually.
No,
you might want to go to JPO and then come back to her. I apologize for that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. JPO, what is the next show you're going to bring up?
You mentioned it in the chat, so luckily it definitely does count. There's a couple questions I have later. I'm gonna go Parks and Rec. Of course, the Amy Poehler vehicle here. One of those two that starts off. In fact, it's fun that you're like, well, the first season is 2009. Good, because let's not even talk about the first season. It kind of starts off just okay, kind of similar to The Office too. But it definitely grows and finds its humor. And again, talk about just a fantastic ensemble from her to Offerman, to Aubrey Plaza, Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, kind of his breakout here. He was not even supposed to be around past season one. If you look at it, he's considered a guest star, but they just loved Chris Pratt so much they kept finding reasons for this guy to stick around, even though not Aubrey Plaza, but Rashida Jones breaks up with him pretty soon. And then continue to add to the cast here. Adam Scott joins later, Rob Lowe. Again, just fantastic guest stars. Paul Rudd's got a great arc, Jason Mantzoukas. So, this is a really funny show. Ends on a hot note, too. I enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed everything about this. Parks and Rec, I think, again, top tier sitcom.
Kiri, what to say about Parks and Rec?
Definitely. I love this show. I just rewatched it recently, and it still holds up. It's so fantastic. The humor is great. The characters are amazing, and they're all lovable, but they're also all flawed in their own way, and it just makes it so entertaining to watch.
Yeah. For those watching at home, questioning why I'm allowing Parks and Rec and not It's Always Sunny. Parks and Rec, most of its one was in the 2010s. It only had one season and half of its second season in 2009, which I kind of decided is kind of that
Can I jump ahead real quick and ask? I have two others that are 2009 starters. So if they're 9 starters, is it fine?
Because
Okay.
it's a lot of the time. Yeah, because typically a lot of the times with TV seasons, it normally starts in the fall, summer. I don't know what season it is in the States, but usually starts in the bottom half of the year and ends in start of the other year. So seasons always overlap years, which is why I did that thing. Parks and Rec is the exception here because it firstly was literally only 7 episodes, I decided to make that an exception here as well. But that's why I allowed this and not It's Always Sunny. But yeah, back onto Parks and Rec. It is a really great show. It's an easy yes for me as well. I love this a lot, and it's just and just seeing the cast and what they've sort of gone on to do since, like you had people like Nick Offerman, who's recently just been in The Last of Us. I think he was in something else recently as well, though I can't quite remember what he did. But they've sort
He's
of
in Dumb
moved
Money
on.
for a little bit. He's a pretty good, consistent actor.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of that cast has moved on to do other bigger and better stuff. And yeah, and it's so much fun actually listening to their podcast when they talk about the filming of the show as well. You can definitely tell how much fun they've had. But Chad, what do you say about Parks and Rec?
It's definitely an excellent show. It's one that I didn't start immediately because I was such a big fan of The Office, hence my shirt. And I was like, it feels kind of like a copy of The Office, and I'm like, that's probably not going to be good. And then I watched it, and I think the first season you could maybe have a point if you said that, but then after that, it just becomes a whole other show of its own, and it becomes incredible. I think it's just basically very, very difficult to argue against that cast. It's so stacked. Like you ask someone what's their favorite character, they might be able to name one, but then they're going to be struggling. There's so many great people on that show, like you guys mentioned, like Nick Offerman, Aubrey Plaza. A lot of them are blowing up, even still these days, just created so many careers. I love Aziz and his stand-up. And I think it's one of the things to say about Parks and Rec is that Leslie Knope might be my least favorite character on the show. I just don't think she's as funny as a lot of the supporting cast. And I think that's important because it means it has a really strong supporting cast. Not that she's not funny. I think Amy Poehler is great. But everyone in there is the fully fleshed out character and stuff. I do wish it would have ended before they came back for another season. I wish they would have not done that. Kind of like you could say with, Michael Scott leaving The Office, and maybe they shouldn't have continued after that. Even though there is some funny stuff after that, as far as being a great show. I think maybe they should have cut it off, but what you get in that middle portion is phenomenal. So, Parks and Rec for sure.
And with that, Parks and Rec is going to make list. Kerry, what is your next nomination?
My next nomination is Bob's Burgers, which started in 2011. This is probably my favorite straight comedy show. And definitely my second favorite TV show. Chad knows. And it's okay if it doesn't make the list. I don't know if you guys personally like the show, but I think it's a great comedy. The first season started out, I would say, a little bit on the edgier side. It almost like it couldn't decide if it was going to go more the Simpsons route or what. But as it kind of grew into its own in the next few seasons, I think it really just became a great mix of, there is some edgier comedy in the show, but mostly it's I don't know, it's really wholesome, but also really funny, and just a great thing to throw on when you're having a bad day.
Yeah. I mean, I've honestly never seen the show. It's one of those shows I've been meaning to get to. Just I've seen the movie. I watched the movie without and I like the movie enough. One of these days I probably will get around to seeing this series, but I just haven't seen it, so I can't really say yes to it. Chad, what do you say about Bob's Burgers?
All right, I just had to shut off a toy guitar. Yeah, Bob's Burgers. It's one that It's complicated for me because I do think it's a really great show. I think it's very funny in a lot of ways, and I would love to see like a really great animated show that a lot of people love get on the list. Have been times where Carrie's binged it so much, like she's not kidding that she loves this show. Binged it so much that like I'm just like getting kind of tired of what I perceive to be a lot of the same jokes, but I think that's like in me passing, seeing a lot of like the same kind of parts throughout has kind of like, lowered it for me a little bit. But I'm actually interested in trying to rewatch this because I do think that there's a lot of really great stuff in there. I love how it's kind of like part musical. I love a lot of the voice actors I think are great, especially like Eugene Meerman, I think is hilarious. So I do think it's a very, very solid show. Um, and yeah, I would love to see a great animated comedy be on this list. So I would say, yeah, I think it deserves to be here.
JPO, what do you say about Bob's Burgers? You're muted, by the way.
You'll never know the great soliloquy I just gave. But yeah, no, I'm kind of in the middle of them. Yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a yes as well here. I do enjoy it a lot. Some of the more recent seasons I've kind of dipped in and out of, but not because I've just not enjoyed them. I just maybe just time wise, but I enjoyed a lot from what I have seen, which is the majority. And yeah, I also too would love to have an anime show on here, and I think it's the only one I would say yes to, unless someone reminds me of something I forgot. So yes.
But yeah, it's on to me. I'm really try for this one. I don't know how many people actually saw it, but it's one of those shows that I always watched a lot, and it stars Emily Osment, who was from Hannah Montana, and it's the show Young and Hungry, which I think was a very underrated show. Basically, it's about this girl who gets this job as a chef for this tech genius, even though she's sort of never done chef's work at all. But she but then she ends up falling in love with her boss and all that. And then it's one of those shows that I think is a lot of fun, and yeah, it's got a lot of great cast, like the actress Retta is in that, I think. I just have to double check 'cause I know but yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think it's doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, like, have you seen it? I don't know, but Chad, have you seen Young and Hungry?
No, actually, I've never heard of it. I think it might be like one of those that could be like very underseen, but like you said, very underrated. I wouldn't mind checking out one day. You said Emily Osment, like of Hannah Montana fame, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Lily.
yeah. That does actually sound really cool. I just haven't seen it, unfortunately. So I can't. I have to abstain.
JPO, have you seen Young and Hungry?
No, I have kind of zero interest in most things ABC Family produces.
And Kerry, have you seen Young and Hungry?
I have not, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Malcolm. So I can't really say either way. I also like haven't heard of it before, but it sounds interesting.
No, it's so all good. I'm Sam, but Chad, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Okay, I'm gonna do another sitcom, and this one is. You know what? Never mind. I'm gonna do. Well, it is a sitcom.
Of course, you're doing
do
another sitcom. That's what we're doing, Chad.
Let's do a different one. I'm gonna do Community. I do think Community. Like I said, I nominated The Good Place. I think The Community is another show that is. I can't say perfect because it did sort of run up against losing cast members and issues like that. Having to be picked up by what was the network that it wasn't like YouTube? It was a different network that picked them up. I kind of forget, but
it was Yahoo for a second.
It was Yahoo, which was very weird, but kind of cool that they were able to continue that way. Sorry for the baby shark stuff, but I think it's a phenomenal show. I think it's incredibly ambitious, which is why I love it. It does a lot of stuff with people in a community study group that like you would never think that they would do. Like the Russo brothers basically got their start directing paintball episodes of this show that are super action packed, and it's like, how did they take this whole concept and expand it into what this show became? And you get to know all of these people. It's such a stellar cast. Abed, I think, is one of the best characters on TV just because of how meta the show and Abed himself get about TV, because he basically knows everything about TV, so he's able to comment on the tropes that TV does, and they try to subvert it and do all this stuff, and it's just really phenomenal. Great writing in that show. It's just very fun, very funny. Troy and Abed, one of the greatest like teams
Troy and Abed in the morning.
in comedy shows ever. So yeah, Community is incredibly ambitious, probably the most ambitious sitcom I've ever seen. And while it's not perfect, I think it strives toward perfection. Even when it was hit up against the wall towards the end, I think it still was putting up a lot of great episodes despite that. So I think it's incredible. I love Community. There you go.
Yeah. You ready for the movie this year, next year?
6 seasons in a movie.
Yes.
JPO, what do you say about Community?
All I gotta say is Carrie better watch out, because I think I'm coming for Chad. I just want to cuddle up and watch sitcoms, because this is another huge yes for me. I love this show. He set it up. It's a great, unique show too. You mentioned the paintball episodes here. There's a crazy trampoline one, the things that happened with Troy. It's so good. The pillow fort, over the blanket fort, or oh my god, this show constantly was just so great. Another one that really, too, again, if you started, I like season 1, but like really give it to like season 2, and it really just gets going, and it's so good here. And yeah, so this is a huge yes for me. I love the show.
Kiri, what do you say about Community?
Put the shows in the private chat, Malcolm. I want to see what made it so far.
I definitely agree with Community. It's a yes for me. Like you guys said, it's so funny. There's so many great moments, like, and everything you guys have been saying. I'm like, oh yeah, I love that part. It makes me want to rewatch it. And like, trying to think of some other ones, like the KFC spaceship. I love that episode. One that's like in Abed's, like, it's like imagination, and they're all like stop motion and animated.
Stop motion, the video game one. Oh,
there's so many fantastic episodes, and I do think it's immense strengths make up for maybe some of the inconsistencies in the later season or two, but almost nothing's perfect.
No, I mean, I'm one of the few people. I like Community from start to finish. Well, yeah, there was definitely some episodes that weren't as good as others, but for the most part, I enjoyed it all. And because I even did really enjoy that the last season. While once for reasons for when they took Pierce out, it did lose some of that humor. I still think what they did with it, was still
they added our boy
good.
Keith David. Come on.
Or David Keith. I don't know if he was in the.
One of those two.
I think it was a missed opportunity not to have David Keith heavy guest in a season.
I swear, if I hit the lottery, I'm making a movie. I don't know what it is, but it's gonna start Keith David and David Keith.
But yeah, but that is an easy yes for me for Community as well. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
But no, he's still here audio.
I know, I figured that.
But JPO, what is your next TV show?
All right, I'm going to shoot my shot, as the cool kids say. We're going for Nathan For You, premiering on Comedy Central. You can find it, I believe, currently on Max. It is totally a hugely unique and great take. It starts off almost like a Persuado like mockumentary in a way. Nathan Fielder is the main actor here, and he just goes to local businesses and offers them a way to help their business grow bigger. The way he does it is totally unique and crazy here. The way he'll there's a great hitchhiking episode where he makes people get free gas, but then he puts them through like a hiking experience in order just to try to trail them off and get them the free gas. It's almost unfair, like the way of trying to describe it because it's honestly got to be seen to be believed. And it's a bit of a mockumentary. Nathan Fielder is fantastic though. It's about 3 seasons. It's very bingeable. I've shown it to like some close friends, my brother. Nobody has just been disappointed yet. And Nathan Fielder just had another show with Emma Stone premiere recently, which was off of the strength of this show. So yeah, Nathan For You, fantastic show. Please, somebody have seen it.
Yeah. Kerry, what do you say about Nathan For You?
I'm so conflicted here and I think Chad will say yes to this for sure because he's definitely seen the show and I've seen it through him. It is so cringe, and I am not like a cringe.
It's beautiful cringe, but is it not beautiful, funny cringe?
It's some parts. I'm gonna say yes because some parts of it are just so funny. Like, despite the fact that I can't handle the cringe sometimes. So some parts of it are just so funny. So yeah, I'll say yes. It is though. If you're a person like, I think the test, right, for whether you can handle cringe humor is usually like the base point is the Scott's Tots episode of The Office.
It's a great episode.
If you hate that episode, it makes you like want to hide under your bed. Like, Nathan For You, maybe not for you. But it is despite that, it is so funny, like undeniably funny.
Yeah, I haven't. When JPO first brought it up when I did the TV battle against them on Tournament Fights, I hadn't seen it then. I still haven't seen it.
But then you binged it. Oh shit!
I mean, I can't find. I know it's more of a case. I can't find it anywhere. I don't know where it's streaming for me.
Oh, that's right. You're in the.
If it's Max, then I don't know where it is. But Chad, what do you say about Nathan For You?
Yeah, I love Nathan For You. It's one that Kara's right. It's one that I was actually debating whether to bring up. I was like, I don't know if this will be one that will get through or people will love like I do, but I do think it's really incredible. I love the so yeah, I'm totally saying yes to it. I love the concept. I love that it introduced us to Nathan Fielder. I love his like dry delivery that he gives a lot of the times. I mean, it has I think JP probably mentioned this, has Dumb Starbucks, which actually got in the news and stuff like that. That was like him basically showing the pig
getting saved at the zoo. A couple of them made news.
Yeah, and it's like what you can do with like parody law and stuff like that. So it's like groundbreaking in a lot of ways, and then also just so funny because he shows up to like the businesses and he'll come up with some ridiculous idea like poop yogurt, and people are just like confused, but then they're like, I guess I'll try it, and it's just, I don't know, if you like that style of humor, it's of the highest end, I think. As far as, like Gary said, the cringe type of humor, if you can handle it.
Sneaking chili into a stadium. Come on, so many good ones.
So yeah, I say yes for Nathan For You. I do think it deserves to be here.
With that, it is going to make the list.
Yes, I'm so happy.
Kerry, what is the next TV show you're going to bring up?
Okay, the next one is like the only other one that I really hope gets on the list, but I'll understand if not. I don't know if JPO and Malcolm have seen it, but it's Schitt's Creek. I love that show. Again, I trend towards kind of a little bit more wholesome side of things, and just the 4 main characters in the show are just so endlessly funny, and they're so fully developed. It is like you're truly stepping into their world with them. The side characters are all fantastic, and they all just add so much to the show. The entire premise of it is amazing. It's a very wealthy family. The dad essentially owned like a chain of, like, the equivalent would be like Blockbuster video stores. The mom was a famous soap opera actress, and then their accountant basically committed tax fraud and stole some of their money, and the government took the rest of their assets. And they get stuck with the only asset they have left, which is a town that the dad bought for his son as a joke, which is called Schitt's Creek. And they have to, live in the little motel in town. but all the characters are so amazing. Like the arcs they go through over I think it's 6 seasons of the show it's just incredible, and it has so many just truly fantastic moments.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check this out for the longest time. Because especially when it was winning all the awards like recently or in the last few years, um and yeah, but I just still haven't got around. I know it's all on Netflix and that, so I'll get onto them eventually, but I haven't seen it. But Chad, what do you say about Schitt's Creek?
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So no, a lot of baby stuff going on. Schitt's Creek, I love. I brought up Community, but before that, I almost brought up Schitt's Creek, and then I was like, no, Carrie will probably bring up Schitt's Creek, so I'll bring up Community. But yeah, Schitt's Creek, I love, and I'm so glad she brought up because could you finish that? Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so Schitt's Creek, just like Carrie said, is extremely wholesome, extremely funny. You have like little bits that you just really remember from the show, like um, uh, Dan Levy arguing with Catherine O'Hara about how to fold in the cheese. Like, how do you fold in the cheese? And there's a lot of great, like, kind of like Seinfeld-esque jokes in it sometimes, but then you have like a lot of deep connections between the characters. Like that show has one of the greatest romances that I've ever seen in a show between Dan Levy and his partner in the show. And also they do like a really great like edition of like Cabaret in the show, and which is really, really, really good episode. So yeah, you have a lot of really great highs in the show, and I just think the writing is better than you would think from a show called Schitt's Creek. And then you're like, wait, this show is actually deep and is going to make me cry and laugh at the same time, like literally at the same time. So yeah, Schitt's Creek, I think totally deserves to be on there. Hopefully JPO has seen it and likes it.
JPO, what do you say about Schitt's Creek?
My only hesitance is I haven't finished it. I'd get a little maybe at the halfway point, but I like what I've seen, and I do think most people would agree that it should be on here. So yeah, I'm happy to give it a yes to get it on here.
That Schitt's Creek is going to make the list, and it's on to me for my next nomination. I'm going to go for this one because the other one I'm sort of torn between. I'm thinking it's probably going to definitely come up at some stage, but the 2010s seem to be the era of the Office esque style comedies, and I'm going to bring up Superstore because I think Superstore is such a great show. Because like America Ferrera was great in this, and you've also got Ike Barinholtz, and a bunch of other great actors in that in here. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's just really great, just with them sort of showing all the sort of stuff that these like casts, like working retail has, like especially when you working in customers get a whole bunch of Karens or all these people like making all these ridiculous complaints, like, oh yeah, I'm always right, you should bow to my every room and stuff like that. And it's just one of those ones that, especially if you work retail and you want to watch a show that completely takes the piss out of the customers that you normally serve, and Superstore is one of those shows that does it well. But Chad, what do you say about Superstore?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think me and Malcolm are like on the same wavelength with a lot of the shows that we might watch because I just haven't seen Superstore. Unfortunately, I've heard a lot of great things, but I have to abstain.
JPO, what do you say about Superstore?
I say after I'm done cuddling with Chad, I'm coming to your house, Malcolm, because I love Superstore. This is my next pick. This literally would have been said by me next. It's another one where I think again, not kind of like whatever I said maybe before, like Parks and Rec or the other one. I think they really find the groove in like season 2 and whatnot. But I like season 1 and everything. But yeah, I think they really find the groove. It's kind of like this is another show I might bring up later. Kind of like my just feel good, happy time. Like this is something where I'm like, I want to go to bed and I don't want to watch anything heavy. I just want to like smile as I drift to sleep. This is something I might put on. It's rewatchable. It's very lovely. Again, a cast of killers here. Dinah, the security, Colton Dunn, as Garrett. I mean, everybody here. Mark McKinney, you might know from Strangers with Candy. He's not Strangers with Candy. The other one, the guys that dress as girls. But yeah, I think everyone's good in this here. I love it. Carrie, hopefully you ditch Chad sometimes and watch this.
Carrie, what do you say about Superstore?
I'm really sad to say this has been on my list of like things to watch, like new comedies to watch, and I just haven't.
What are the rules, Malcolm? We're 2/4 of the way there. Isn't that enough? That's halfway.
No, unfortunately, when it's a 4-person panel, the person nominated.
What if we ask the chat? Let's ask the chat, because I'll hop on right now with my 3 different accounts and say yes.
No, it's not going to work, unfortunately. As much as I want to bend the rules as much, but I've already established it in the past.
Really do. I love it so
panel,
much.
It's going to come down to the other 3 people on the panel if it makes a list.
Say no to everything now.
But Chad, what do you say about what was the next nomination that you can?
My next nomination, I'm gonna bring up New Girl. I think New Girl is another one of those sitcoms that's just incredible. It's one where I sit there and I go, you would think that Zooey Deschanel would just be the star of the show, but like all of the characters in the show are hilarious. All the actors are incredible. Winston, Nick, Jake Johnson's blowing up right now, but then you have Schmidt, who's one of the funniest characters in all of sitcoms, I think. I love the concept of, these like 20 somethings coming together in like a loft and, the shenanigans that they go through. They have a lot of a great chemistry together. And it's just a very, very funny show. Nick is probably my favorite character, but there's so many, like Winston gets, as soon as like Coach left and Winston came in, it was like Winston got like really, really weird, and I just love it. There's the one where everybody found out that he's like colorblind. No one knew, and he didn't even know for a long time. He thought green was purple or something like that. I don't know. There's just a lot of really great jokes, and I think it's just a really incredible show that I need to rewatch again soon. New Girl.
JPO, what do you say about New Girl?
Justice for Superstore, no. No, I was kidding. But still no, because I like the show. I've never loved the show. I think New Girl actually gets annoying after a while. I'm talking about the girl itself. I think the other guys do really outshine her. And yeah, there's just things I have higher on it. But if my brother was here, he'd say yes, but he's not.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I promise this isn't a bit, but I've seen the first season, half of the first season. And it's not so much a case of not wanting to go further. I just have, I started, then like forget I've started it, and then it just, because I haven't watched it in a while, it just disappears from my continue watching list on stream service. I forget about it. But one of these days I will finish the whole thing. I know if Anthony Tisdale was here, he would say yes to it. But yeah, fortunately, I'm also going to be a no. But I do like what I've seen so far. Kerry, what do you say about New Girl?
Yeah, I would have said yes to it. I do really like New Girl. It's not one actually that I've watched through on my own, independent of Chad. But I've seen enough of it while he's watching it to really like all of the characters. And I think there are so many funny parts, like the game they make up, True American. I kind of see JPO's point, and I do think kind of the later seasons did it a little bit less for me, but overall I think so.
Yeah, I don't want to say bad or annoying. It gets old to me after a while. It lost me at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
he gets it.
But JPO, what is the next TV show going to bring up?
All right, I was going to say I thought I did. Well, that's our Superstore was yours. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Wait, that sounded very Hitlerish. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is my is my pick here. This is another one who this actually was the show I was alluding to earlier with the Superstore. It's like it's just a fun. If you've seen it, 5 times over, but you want something nice kind of in the background or fall asleep to, this is a good one here as well. The cast here again, I know I hate to always say the cast, but I think that's maybe what makes a great sitcom is when you just have nothing but killers. You have in this case Sandberg, Fumero, Cruz, Latruglio finally getting a chance to kind of shine too, kind of a guy that I think gets overlooked. Of course, R.I.P. our captain Andre Brower, who is the straight man but so funny in this here too. There's some great stuff between him and his husband's character arc as well. Some little sweet moments get stuffed in there. Another one that always was great about guest actors, Bill Hader. Yeah, it's a show that I kind of liked instantly, and I'm glad I was able to give some time. It's a show that was so good that it got saved. It got saved for another few seasons when they tried canceling it because people wanted some more of our crew at Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, funny enough, this was also the show I was referring to when I brought up Superstore. But before I get my thoughts, I just completely forgot the order. Kerry, what do you say about Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I say yes for sure. It's like, yeah, this is another one. It's just so funny. So many of the jokes hit. The characters are amazing. Like, again, there's so many, like, I love the running jokes in this one. Like, the Halloween heist episode. What is it? Halloween?
The heist ones are always great.
Yeah. Those are fantastic. Yeah, just an excellent show. So it's yes for me.
Yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It was definitely one of those shows that I love a lot, and yeah, I think it's and I think it's just one of those shows I think will stand the test of time, and one that people talk about for ages. Yeah, and even the last season, I do like especially with what they did when they're tying in all these real world stuff to it as well. But the heist episodes are always a lot of fun. Pretty much like the community paintball episodes, like the heist episodes are always the one on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The heist episodes are always the ones that people look forward to the most. Like, what are we going to do? What are they going to do this time around, or who's going to win? Yeah, so it's an easy yes for me for Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But Chad, what do you say about Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Chad's reading his son the script of The Departed.
It's Harry Potter, but similar, I guess.
And then he put a gun in his mouth and said,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah, I really like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I do think it does have a lot of really great comedy to it. It is one where, for me, like, if you're talking about like something like New Girl, I like stuff like that more because I think that Brooklyn Nine-Nine actually has less characters that like I'll go like just a fully great solid slate. But I've also kind of seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine a little bit less. Like I don't even think I've seen the full series all the way through. So it's kind of like for like Malcolm who said he didn't finish New Girl. That's kind of like me with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't think I saw the end.
Yeah, we're in the similar boat. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think a lot of the shows or a lot of the episodes are really great. I do think sometimes it does favor the comedy over like being like kind of a deeper show and having like character arcs and things like that at least from what I've seen.
Wait, you're holding against the sitcom for being too comedic? What?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying what I'm saying is it's really funny. What I'm saying is as a show, just as a whole, I think I don't gravitate towards it as much as others do is because it favors a lot of the kind of like Lonely Island style comedy, which I love, by the way, over having a lot of the other stuff. So like it's not like a Schitt's Creek or Community where it'll have like like a lot of.
I think it's got one of the greatest will they won't they's though.
That's true. That's true. There are a lot of good stuff with that as well. So while I wouldn't put it on like a high pedestal right now, it's not out of the question. I actually really connected with what JPO said about like a great show to put on like while you're trying to fall asleep or do other stuff. It is a great. background show, and that's not a negative. It's a positive. It's like something you want to live in, kind of a deal, because it's just a really great cop procedural that's also funny. So yeah, I do think it's incredible. I love Andy Samberg and his comedy. So I'll give it a yes for sure. Yeah.
I will say, I think it's funny that Chad brought up the comparison to New Girl, because Brooklyn Nine-Nine had a crossover with New Girl.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that.
But with that, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is going to make the list, and we go to Kerry for the next nomination.
Okay. I'm gonna nominate a show which I'm not sure if I know Chad's seen it, but I don't know if the rest of you have seen it. So it might not make the list,
You
but
guys know a lot about each other or something. It's weird.
yeah, almost like we live in the same house. But I wanted to bring it up because I think it's a great comedy and just wanted to generally recommend it to people. And it's called Kim's Convenience. It's a Canadian show. It's on Netflix, at least US Netflix it's on. And it's a show about a Korean immigrant family who own a convenience store in Toronto. The son at the beginning of the show is kind of estranged from his father, still has good contact with his mom and sister. But it's just a great little half an hour comedy. The characters, I think, get really developed very well. And there's just so many great little comedic moments. It's just like a very sweet, nice example of like a little sitcom.
That's that show that's got Shang-Chi in it, isn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I know the show. I haven't seen it. But yeah, I mean, it's once again, Netflix have a lot of shows I've wanted to check out, but just haven't got around to. And this is one of them. But Chad, what do you say about Kim's Convenience?
Kim's Convenience, yeah. I watched this a little while back. I don't remember a ton of it. I know Carrie was watching it like recently, but I didn't like watch it with her like again or anything. So I don't remember a ton of it. I do remember it being very sweet and very funny a lot of the times. It's like a Canadian show, so that would be great for having like a non-American show on the list. I think it all. So I'm saying yes because I think it would be great for that. I think it'd also be great for like representation because you don't see a lot of families like the Kim family, on a lot of these 2010s comedies. So it was a refreshing kind of world to live in when you don't know a lot about that culture. I think is really great, and it kind of normalizes the like a convenience store and everything that surrounds that, and Korean culture and all of that. So there's a lot to really like about the show, and yeah, from what I remember, I think it's really funny. I love Simu Liu. I love his friend and roommate. He's probably my favorite character of that show. Very, very funny. So, and then of course Appa, his dad, is great, and he's great in it as well. And it's cool to see him in the MCU now. So, yeah, I'd say yes to Kim's Convenience. I do think it's a good show.
JPO, what have you seen Kim's Convenience?
I've seen a good chunk of it. It's a really funny, sweet show. And more importantly, my mom is the one that turned me on to it. She was a big fan, so I'm going to give it a yes for her.
But yeah, but as I had to quickly look at her name because I thought I recognised one of the names of someone, and I was correct in thinking that because the guy that played Appa in the show was Carson Teva in the Book of Boba Fett, as well as Uncle Iroh in the live-action Avatar series.
Yeah, I love the dad. The dad does it right. I haven't seen it in a long time too.
But with that, Kim's Convenience is going to make the list. And it's back to me. So I'm going to bring up one that I don't know how this is going to go, but because the show it is a spin-off from doesn't count, but this one definitely does because it did start in the 2010s. And I'm bringing up Young Sheldon because um, when they first announced that they're doing a spin-off show about Sheldon, and there's like my first thought was, why do we need this? But then I watched the show when it came out, and as it's one of those ones that I think I get it now because it's just a lot of fun, especially seeing some of these stuff that happened to Sheldon in the past that may have been referenced in passing on The Big Bang Theory. But seeing them actually happen, it's also for that same reason. I haven't started watching season 7 because I know what's coming and I don't want to see that happen yet. Because, but it's just one of those ones that that I think is a lot of fun, and it's also a lot of fun just having like some slight cameos from some of these other Big Bang Theory people pop up throughout as well. Because in one of Sheldon's voiceovers, I think they have Howard pop up at one point. Penny actually voices a different character in a dream at one stage, but it's just a lot of fun. I think the Ian Armitage who plays Sheldon, I think he does a really good job of giving all the Sheldon mannerisms and all that, and getting them very on point at times as well. And I just think it's great. But Chad, what do you say about young Sheldon?
I hate to do this again to Malcolm, but I haven't seen it. It's one where I'm still in the stage of where I'm like, why do we need this kind of a deal? But it is one where I could see maybe down the line, checking it out or throwing it on and seeing if it grabs my attention. I did like The Big Bang Theory. That's one where it's a lot of humor that I think people who are a little bit older than me, like my parents would really like, but like for me, I don't think it like hits the same level. So I think when I was gonna go, but I still like the characters and stuff in that. So that's why I was kind of hesitant if it had the same like writing that The Big Bang Theory did. I was like, this might not be a show for me. But if Malcolm likes it, then maybe it is. It's actually better than I thought. So I'd like to give it a shot one day, but I have to abstain.
I mean, I will say I'm pretty sure it is the same people that wrote The Big Bang Theory because it is still done by Chuck Lorre and all that. So it's got a lot of that same creative. But JPO, what do you say about young Sheldon?
I like that Chad says abstain, which is a nice way of saying no, because it's either yes or no. It's a no for me because I still kind of think it's not necessary. Like it's cute, but like it just doesn't do that much for me. At the end of the day, the few times I've tried, I've always just kind of like chuckled a couple times, and that's never something I've ever wanted to really continue that much. I think they casted a good kid, but he's not a character I want to see kind of focused on for 20 minutes at a time. Which is kind of what I thought, and it's kind of still how I feel. So yeah.
Kerry, what do you say about young Sheldon?
Yeah, I'm like Chad. I actually haven't seen this show, and it's been like obviously I think advertised a lot and everything, but I never really enjoyed The Big Bang Theory, and I couldn't really bring myself to watch a show about one of the younger characters. Yeah, I think similar to Chad, like with your recommendation, Malcolm, maybe I'll actually give it a shot at some point. But yeah, I haven't seen it as of today.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's one of those ones like I do get that whole criticism like it's unneeded and that and it like everyone's different and that's the fun about some of these. But I will say Young Sheldon's also getting a spin-off based on George and Mandy, which I actually think is unnecessary as well. But once again, just like Young Sheldon, they're doing another spin-off based on his brother Georgie and his wife Mandy.
Jerry O'Connell?
Yeah. I think that's one. But anyway, unfortunately, Young Sheldon's going to make the list. But Chad, was your next show you're going to bring up?
All right, so I'm going to try for one here. It's not a sitcom. So I'm finally not doing a sitcom here.
Well, then we
But I
have to
think
say
that-
no because that's what the show is.
It's
Oh, it's
I
comedy.
mean, comedy TV shows is not just sitcoms.
True,
Yeah.
true. My bad.
Right. Yeah, no worries. It is comedy, but I will say if people say no to it, I could see it because sometimes it does veer into very serious stuff, and then also because it does bridge the line where it definitely started in the 2010s. It didn't start in 2019. It started in 2018, but then it did go into the 2020s. But I would say its funniest parts are in the 2010s. So I'll nominate it and I'll see what the panel thinks. And it's going to be Barry. I think Barry is an incredible show. HBO, like I'm not a huge like Game of Thrones fans or anything like that. So like when that was kind of, I was watching that and then I was like, I'm not really digging this that much. Barry came out and it was like exactly my thing where it was like, Bill Hader doing something different and actually having like a great it's not great because he's not a good guy, but like a very interesting protagonist. Or is he even a protagonist? It's an anti-hero kind of a deal. But yeah, he's a guy who's like a hitman, and then he wants to he's going to do a hit in like Los Angeles, and then he stumbles into a acting class, and then he decides that he wants to be in this acting class. He wants to be an actor now, and he doesn't want to do crime anymore, but he's really really good at it. Like this guy gets like very very scary when he's actually going to go on like a rampage to go take a bunch of people out. And so it's really funny because of that. It's like a lot of like really great dark humor. I think Hank NoHo Hank is one of the best characters I've ever seen in a show. He's so funny. He basically takes like the whole kind of mob stereotype and just turns it on its head, makes it very very funny. And just like him talking about like how cool it's going to be to like mail a bullet to a guy, and just the way he explains it is just so funny. And every like there's one line when Bill Hader's or Barry's like, am I evil? And then Hank's like, of course you are, man. Do I not tell you that enough? Kind of a deal. Like it's a good thing that you're. Yeah, it does have a lot of great comedy in it. It does get dark, but I'd say that there's still a level of comedy that it holds on to for the length of its run. Even if it does get like really leans into the dark side of the humor. But yeah, I think it's incredibly funny, incredibly great show. One of the best shows HBO's ever had, especially with like how they shoot things and stuff. I think is pretty groundbreaking and just amazing. So it's on another level, especially that one episode where it's basically just him trying to kidnap a guy, but the guy's like a kickboxer. So he's just like fighting this guy the whole episode. And you got this like crazy child that's like a ninja and she's like jumping on someone and trying to bite him and stuff like that, like Stephen Root. And Stephen Root's really funny in the show. So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff about the show. I'm making myself want to rewatch it just talking about it. So yeah, Barry, it's incredible.
JPO, what do you say about Barry?
Well, shit, I didn't think about this one, but damn, do I love this show? And yeah, no, it is. It's super dark. I mean, and it gets darker too. So yeah, this is definitely not a sitcom for the family, but it still always has that kind of comedic undertone. Even the last season, when like Fred Armisen pops up and the way he gets out of jail is kind of funny and messed up. You know what I mean? Like there is still funny moments each season. Stephen Root's so good. Everyone, Henry Winkler, I think won some awards, rightfully so, for this show. It's the best thing Henry Winkler's done in a long time, and he's been very funny too, of course. But yeah, I love the show, and it's a dark ass comedy, but it's great. So yeah, it belongs there. So yeah, it's a yes.
Gary, what do you say about Barry?
Yeah, it's interesting because when Chad started his explanation of, oh, this isn't a sitcom, I thought he was going to go for his favorite sketch comedy show, but instead he went for Barry. I was thinking about bringing this up too. It does.
Might, but I'm afraid that it just hasn't aired enough in the 2010s. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, Barry is phenomenal, and I mean, by the end, it is all, except for like very few select scenes. I think in that last season, like that Fred Armisen scene, there is very little comedy, and some of the stuff that I don't know if it's supposed to be so dark. Like I like some stuff if it's supposed to be funny or it just like it's more of a commentary on dark humor. I don't know. It gets crazy. But I'll say yes, it's a fantastic show, and I think it is so interesting how it evolved from a dark comedy to like it just kept getting darker and darker and darker. And I think that there is some like great commentary in there about like the type of people being portrayed in that show, and the acting is just off the charts, phenomenal from everyone. So yeah, I'll say yes.
Yeah, this is once again, this is another one that I've been meaning to check out. I just didn't have a lot of time to check out full seasons of a lot of these shows this week. But yeah, but this is one of those shows that does sound interesting. I think the most I've heard about this is people just debating on whether it belongs in the comedy or drama section at the award shows because which I haven't seen, I can't judge, but it is what it is. Because if it's labeled as a comedy on IMDb, in my opinion, it counts in comedy. So, but it's going to make the list anyway. I just haven't seen it. That JPO, we go to you for your next nomination.
All right. Well, I have no idea if this is what Carrie was alluding to for Chad. Because now I'm going to go sketch comedy because it just dawned on me. I'm going to go Key and Peele is the one I'm going to nominate here because I love that show. I just think it's the most it's very funny written. They're both just fantastic at impressions. Michael Key even got to host SNL a couple years back because of it. They're Mad TV alumni, and yeah, it's super smartly written. It's another one that you could easily binge multiple times, and yeah, that's my favorite sketch comedy show.
Kerry, what do you say about Key and Peele?
It is not the same one.
I saw Chad's look. God dang it!
I do really like Key and Peele though. Like there's so many sketches from that are so funny, and like I still reference, like it hasn't been on for quite a while, and I still reference some of those, like the one with the names. I have a cousin named Jacqueline, and her Facebook name for the longest is Jay Quillen.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah, Chad and I were just talking about the Gremlins 2 sketch the other day.
Come on, yeah.
That one where they're like coming out of, I think they're coming out of a horror movie, but they're like so scared, and yeah.
Yeah.
I say yes to Key and Peele. I think it's a hilarious show.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if this did anyone on New Zealand television when it first started. Because I haven't seen it. I've seen a few of the sketches. Like I've seen the names one a lot of the times. I've seen people replicate the names one a few of the times. But yeah, they've only just dropped all the seasons on one of the streaming services I've got access to, so I'm probably going to check it out at some stage. But I will say I do like Key and Peele as people. I just haven't seen the show, so yeah, I can't really say yes to it. But Chad, what do you say about Key and Peele?
Hey JPO, man, you want to play front hand, back hand?
All right, front hand. All right, I got it. I figured it out now. Back hand.
I said to her, I said, bitch.
And you ever see the wraparound, the final season where they're driving? It ends with them finally running out of gas, and they go, "I said, bitch." It ends with that.
Yeah. No, this wasn't the same one, but Key and Peele's incredible. I think you have to say yes to this show, just because. I mean, you had Chappelle Show, which I think was incredible for its time, and then Key and Peele came and took over and basically was like that show in that slot, and I think it might have surpassed Chappelle Show. I don't know if that's heresy or not, but you know, it is very good.
I think it's also funnier just for everybody too.
Yeah, I
My
agree.
mom liked it for most
I
episodes.
agree.
You know?
I agree for that. There's a lot of like we're referencing so many different sketches and stuff like that. Like I love the
Yeah,
Gremlins.
if you ever want to lose 5 hours, just go to YouTube and get lost in their clips.
You
Yeah.
definitely can, and I think that like it's just basically the power of because I mean you had Chappelle and you had like all of the supporting cast that he had, but with this you have two like infinitely funny people. Like we have Jordan Peele now as like the great horror director, but like before he was that, he was like one of the funniest people, and he still is one of the funniest people that I've ever seen do sketches or anything. Like before that, Mad TV is where they met, and then now having their own show. And I just think it's like consistently just so funny. You can name so many different great sketches, and I can actually sit here and probably do a whole episode of just like quoting Key and Peele. So it's one of those where it's just like we're really, it's going to stand the test of time, I think, as far as comedy shows. So yeah, great. I actually forgot about Key and Peele and didn't put it on my list. So I'm glad that you brought it up.
I did too. So I heard sketch. I was like, oh shit, what is that? Oh, that fits.
Totally.
Yeah. But if that Campbell is going to make the list, we've only got 2 spots left. Kerry, what are you going to bring up?
Okay. I'm going to bring up a show. If it doesn't make it, I understand, because I do think over time the show got a little old, but I think it was hilarious when it first started out. I think even like the earlier seasons still make me laugh, and that's Impractical Jokers, which started in 2011. It's it started out, I think now one of them left the show, but it started out with 4 guys from Staten Island. They basically just play pranks on people in public. For the most part, they're more making fun of themselves though, and trying to get themselves to do embarrassing situations rather than trying to embarrass someone else. And yeah, I think this is a show. I remember Chad and I did like a horror weekend in the woods. Like we rented a cabin and we got so scared that we just like shut off horror movies and we put on Impractical Jokers. And like, I think it's a show that it can, if you need a laugh, it can definitely fulfill that need. Like there's just some fantastic comedy in it.
But yeah, once again, I haven't seen this. It's once again, it's another one of those ones that I'm familiar with, but it's just never been one that I don't think ever came on. Once again, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it was on TV at some stage. It just wasn't on the channels I normally watched. So yeah, I can't say yes or no because I haven't seen it. But Chad, what do you say about Impractical Jokers?
This is very strange because I didn't think about this one. I didn't put it on my list. And then Carrie brought it up and I was like, why didn't I think about this? It's like for a long time. Like when it first started, I really got into it. And then like I stopped for a long time. And then one day, I don't even think the movie that they came out with was very good. But like one day I was just like, you know what? I want to start watching Impractical Jokers again. So I did. And then it just became like for months, like my nightly show that I would just watch. And it's just so funny. I could easily see myself falling back into that. So I'm definitely going to give this a yes because it's a different type of show. It's a reality comedy show. And what I love about it is they're basically just trying. It's just a bunch of guys who are friends forever, just getting together and just like making fun of themselves and making fun of each other and just trying to get.
It sounds like you're just naming the intro.
Yeah,
lifelong friends.
Exactly. But it's like them trying to, really just get them to do embarrassing stuff for laughs. And the levels that they go sometimes, it's just so. And I'm surprised that Kara can handle it sometimes because it gets really cringe at times. And then sometimes it gets like kind of like problematic, like the things that they try to get people to say. Like sometimes it verges into like a little bit of like racism at times, but then luckily most of the time they're like, that's my limit. I'm not going to say that. So I'm going to, and I lose the challenge. So, and it's a fun, there's a game element to it too. So it's really fun to see who's going to lose And then whoever loses at the end has to basically be pranked, and they, something bad happens to them, like they get a tattoo of Jaden Smith on their thigh or whatever, which is really funny. But it takes what, like, I've never been like this. I've never had like a group of friends where we all practical joke each other. But it takes like that mentality that I think a lot of, especially guys, maybe some women do this too, I'm not sure, but mostly like probably guys do a lot of this rag on each other and stuff. It takes that and it just makes it into a really fun, hilarious game of a show. So yeah, I think it's incredible. So I'll say yes.
JPO, what do you say about Impractical Jokers?
I'm in the same vein as Chad here. I didn't really think of this, but it fits. It usually has me laughing pretty decently. I do miss the fourth guy. I still watch for the most part to this day. So the fourth guy is definitely missed. But yeah, when it was really kicking, and this is kind of the prime example of when it was kicking. Yeah, and it's also kind of a different show too. So I like that we have a little bit of variety. So I'm gonna say yes.
But with that, Impractical Jokers is going to make lists. We've got one spot left. I'm going to try for this, see what happens, because I thought this was a great show, and I know a lot of people may have just shrugged this off as a Malcolm in the Middle rip-off show with basically being the same kind of stuff, but I honestly think it's a lot better than Malcolm in the Middle, honestly, and it's simply called The Middle. And you've got like Neil Flynn and Patricia Heaton as parents, and then with their kids Axel, Sue, and Brick. But I think this was I've always liked Neil Flynn as an actor. I think he's great. Like whether he's the janitor from Scrubs or Mike or the father in the middle. But I think The Middle is another one of those shows. I think it was very underrated for its time. It didn't get talked about a lot, but I think it was just one of those ones. I think it had a lot of fun, and it's just one of those ones that the relationship between the family, I think, is just one of those ones that you can tell they really care about each other, even when they are fighting at times as well. But it's just, I think it's a fun show. I think it's good, but it's also one that I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't make the list. But Chad, what do you say about The Middle?
Well, I love Malcolm in the Middle. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. But The Middle, it's another one just I haven't seen. Just like Malcolm, throwing them out there, and I'm just like, oh no, I meant to watch that. It goes right over my head. So it's one of those. I love. It's the janitor is
Yeah.
so yeah. I've always wanted to watch it because he's in it. I think that one kid in it looks like he's been funny. Like I said, I've seen clips of it, but it's just one I haven't seen. I'm sorry. It's just one day.
I mean, there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of shows that come out in the world. It's impossible to have seen all of them. But JPO, what do you say about The Middle?
Yeah, it's another one I've seen like nice chunks of it. Because again, I'm a huge Scrubs fan, and I was excited to see the janitor because he goes right into this. Like this is literally Scrubs ends and it goes right into this. So he didn't have any lacks. He had 2 shows back to back that ran 8-something years. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just family comedies because again, I liked it, but again, it kind of trailed off and probably didn't see like the last half of it. So, and there's other things I got on my list, so it's a slight no for me. Although I did like kind of what I saw.
And Kerry, what do you say about The Middle?
Yeah, I this is one where I've seen like pieces of episodes, like gosh, years and years ago now. And I just can't say like either way, really. I just haven't really seen it. I'm sorry.
It's fine. But Chad, what is the next show you're going to bring up?
All right, so I have to bring up the one that Carrie was alluding to because if I don't, I think I'm going to kick myself. So it is one where it's a little iffy because it did start in 2019 and then it's been going into the 2020s very strongly, I would say. So I think it's a barely, but I think there's a lot of really strong stuff. And since it got its great start in the 2010s, I do think it works. And that's the thing that got this such a great following that the later seasons in the 2020s wouldn't have happened if that great first season didn't hook people and go, wait, this is like a new level in comedy, kind of like it's incredible. So I'm of course talking about I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson on Netflix. That show, and I would understand if a lot of people haven't seen it or seen as much of it as I have, or have seen it on repeat over and over and over as much as I have, and sitting there quoting it all the time as much as I have. But yeah, it is one where, and I know we're at the last, little bits of it, but it is one that I think is kind of like changing the game and next level. They're comedy sketches, kind of like with Key and Peele, where you watch it and it's either instantly funny or it's a sketch that might be a little cringe or a little dry, and then you'll rewatch it and you'll go like, this is brilliant. Like, this is like the greatest like comedy writing I've ever seen. And it's just like I didn't kind of understand it at first, but it's like really growing on me. And it's stuff that like you can like build like a community around these like jokes. It's just so rich. And it really also speaks to, I think, a level of comedy, kind of like Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm and things like that are just like speak to, people that you see. But basically a thesis, kind of like It's Always Sunny, is when I was trying to bring that one up before, is that like he tries to create these characters that are like the worst people imaginable, that just are so weird and crazy and just like jerks a lot of the times, that like it would probably have someone go, I think you should leave. So that's like the whole idea of the show, but it's like a next level sketch comedy. So yeah, because Carrie reminded me that this is one that I think is probably the funniest show I've ever seen. I'm not necessarily saying best show. I mean, it's a sketch show, but like it's the funniest thing I've ever seen on TV. So, and that's saying something, because there's a lot of great comedy out there. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I love the show.
JPO, what do you say about I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson?
I do like the show. It's funny. I think Chad said something fairly funny, which is it does grow on you, because I remember after season 1 being like, I don't know exactly how I feel, and then a few months later, rewatching season 1, and then like going back to it for some reason, and then being very excited when I found out it was picked up for season 2, because I think sometimes with like streaming, you really aren't sure when things are canceled or they're still going on. I guess I am still leaning towards a slight no, though, just because I think it's only a couple seasons, and maybe, hey, when we reunited 6 years, it's been on maybe another season or two, then we can say yes in 2020s. But for now, I think there's other things that I'd like to maybe champion more, that have had more episodes too, because I feel like they're also short seasons too on top of that.
Totally fair.
Kiri,
what do you say about I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson?
I'll say yes to it, just because I think the only other thing, if it does come back to me somehow, I feel like the only thing I would bring up next would also be similar, like started in 2019 and is mostly in the 2020s, just based on like what my favorites are. But yeah, this show, some of it's so cringe, but at this point I've seen so many of the sketches so many times that it doesn't faze me anymore. And this is one that literally, if we are in a room with people and there's a television and nothing's like going on really, Chad will throw on this show, or like someone will go up to the bathroom and we're like pausing, like, a game night or a movie or something. He will like, you'll come back down and this is on. He's like, oh, I just want to show you guys this one sketch. And then he shows us the sketch, and then he thinks of like 12 other ones he wants to show us. And then, so.
What's your go-to sketch, Chad? You got one skit. What are you showing?
Probably the baby one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The slick back hair. I used to be a piece of shit. People can change.
And this.
I'm also a hot dog one guy.
Solid.
Yeah, this show has definitely made it into like our everyday vocabulary, just because Chad watches it so much. And it is hilarious. There are sketches I don't particularly care for, but there are some sketches where they are just so funny. It's insane. But yeah.
Was there a sketch about wanting to start a fast food chain in this series?
What is it?
Wanting to start a fast food pay it forward chain.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen that one sketch on TikTok many
Yes.
times. I was just
There's
making
some
sure
good wrestling cameos too.
I'm doing something.
But yeah, I've seen that one sketch on TikTok many times. I've not seen anything else of this show. I mean, I do like that one sketch, but I'm just going to say no. I will probably check out the entire show at some stage. But yeah, JPO, what is the next show you're going to bring up?
Alrighty, going with the Will Forte comedy, Last Man on Earth. There's another one. Good simple premise here. It's he's the last man on Earth, but it continuously progresses where he does find other people here, and it's just a really good, continually evolving show. The most absurd comedy that sometimes then also follows up with some of the real good hard wrenching stuff too, as well. With the way he with him and his brother Jason Sudeikis, a recurring guest star. The way him and Kirsten Shaw, hey, Bob's Burger alumni, fall in love is actually quite nice. And again, it's over the top. He has the best haircuts. There's a point where he's rocking like just half his head is shaved, and he's willing to do anything for the laugh, which is always the best. And it's a uniquely written and funny show.
Kiri, what do you say about The Last Man on Earth?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen this one yet, so I just can't say either way. I'm sorry, JPO.
Funny enough, I on my recent rewatch of How I Met Your Mother, I just finished rewatching the episode of How I Met Your Mother where Will Forte appeared in. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Last Man on Earth. I think it was a really fun type of comedy, and just seeing like all these characters like Kristen Shaw and all that, I think is great. I think Will Ferrell pops up at some stage in here.
It's got some great cameos. Will Ferrell, Jack Black. Yeah, there's a few crazy one episode.
Yeah, it's one of those shows I really wish it wasn't cancelled, because I would have loved to see where it would have ended up going.
Yeah, it is, spoiler warning, a show that doesn't totally end, which is definitely a big blowback. But
yeah,
what we got is great.
I mean, didn't they end up in the Shawshank prison or in one of the seasons?
There's a big prison arc, with Fred Armisen. With a really nice cannibal that they kind of like.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I'm going to say yes to it. Ed, what do you say about Last Man on Earth?
Will Forte is a great SNL personality and has a couple great sketches on I Think You Should Leave. But unfortunately, I haven't seen the show. It is one I've heard about. I've heard good things, and I've just been meaning to get to. But I don't know. Just something there's always something that never made me want to jump right into it. But I'm sure if I did, I would really, really enjoy it. One day.
Unfortunately, it's not going to make the list. Here we go back to you.
Okay, I was thinking of bringing one that started in 2019, but I found another one that I like that is more 2010s, and that's Master of None, Aziz Ansari's show. I thought that was a really fantastic show. It had some great comedic moments. I really actually loved the side characters, all his friends a lot. I thought they were kind of the funniest part of the show. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah, this is another show I've been meaning to start, but haven't got around to it. this has been one of the interesting things. It shows everyone's watching really different
Yeah.
from each other. Sometimes there's the odd crossover, but it's all over the place. But Chad, what do you say about Master of None?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes to Master of None. I think that is a really great nomination. It's one I didn't think of. I didn't put on my list. It just didn't come up when I was searching for things. But I was like, oh yeah. When Carrie brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, I love that show because I don't know. I just think Aziz is just a very great like comedic personality. I love his stand up. I love him on Parks and Rec, and then in some of his movies too. And so when he was coming out with the show, I was like, sure. And then I saw it, and I just thought the writing in it was pretty incredible, especially like when he went to Italy and stuff like that. Like the show got like really like filmmaker quality at some point where I was like, wow, like Aziz can like make some really, really great shit. Or like whoever's like also attached to Master of None, helping them, I'm sure, is just also just really, really great. But it started to kind of reach like new heights and stuff like that. So I would say yes to this. There is another one that I would probably bring up if this doesn't make it on, but I do think this is a solid one to make on the list for sure.
JPO, what do you say about Master of None?
It's gonna be another kind of slight no for me. I like season one. It's funny. I kind of liked it less in season two when they kind of got a little more fancy and I kind of lost some of the fun that we just had in season one, and that's really it. Like season three is like a shorter season without even him in it, and which also like has its moments, but is even less comedic. And so because again it's kind of two short seasons with one season I don't totally love. Yeah, I have other things I have higher.
All right, that Arsenal's not going to make the list. So I mean, I don't know how this is going to go because at all, but I think it's a really great show. But I'm bringing up Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which I think is a really fun show, especially one of those a fun comedy musical. But starring Rachel Bloom as this sort of girlfriend who really wants to get this guy back and a whole lot of chaos in that. But it's just one of those shows that I think is really fun. And I think the musical numbers itself is just really awesome. I think it's just one of those shows that I have I had a lot of fun watching. I did come to this a little bit late because I think I discovered it in the second season. So I just binged the first season and started from there. But it's one of those shows that I've had a lot of fun with, and I think it's a lot of fun. And yeah, so Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is on the table. Chad, what do you say?
Yeah, this is actually one that a lot of friends have mentioned to me and really liked, and it's one where I actually watched, I think, one or two episodes of it. It didn't hook me, but I do love musicals, comedy, and shows like that. So I just don't know why it didn't hook me, but it's one I definitely want to get try to watch again. And see if it actually can grip me. But yeah, I have to abstain, unfortunately.
JPO, what do you say about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
I know there's love for this show, and I started liking it because I think the lead's fantastic. I think she's really funny. I look forward to seeing more of her in different things. But it's another one I trailed off on. The music got to me after a while. Maybe I'm just not a big musical guy, so that kind of wore off thin on me. And also, too, I think the runtime also bothered me. It's a 40-minute comedy show where I just kind of remember there's certain episodes where I was like, kind of ready for this to wrap up. It wasn't. I felt like it had words welcome in certain episodes as well. So yeah, it's not one that I ever really finished. So I have other things higher.
Kiri, what do you say about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Chad. We have a few friends who really, really like this show, but we just have not gotten around to seeing it yet. So can't really say.
But with that, we go back to Chad for his next nomination.
Well, I will say JPO hit on something really important there. Is I think I don't know. I think comedy does a lot of the times with shows like a limited 20 to 30 minute episode.
Yeah.
I think is the strong suit for like a great comedic
Like
stretch. You know, when you're
weirdly funny enough, like Broken Lizard. Like I like Tacoma FD because I think it's just kind of a fun 20-minute get in and out. But then like their movies don't totally go are great to me, you know? Because I'm like hour and a half. I'm like, let's wrap this shit up.
That's true because most comedies I feel like are like solid 90 minutes. So yeah, you're onto something there. But I will talk about my pick now, my nomination. I don't know how this is going to go. This is also one that half of it is in the 2010s and half of it's in the 2020s. But I think that a lot of what makes it great is the first bit of it. And then it had a little bit of a return a little bit later. So it had like a gap, I would say. But the first bit, I think, is pretty incredible. It's Atlanta. I think Atlanta is an incredible show. Maybe the JPO is conflicted. We'll see. But I think the writing in the show is incredible. I don't know. It's a very weird show. Like there's kind of a ultimate narrative that is Ernie. Donald Glover plays Ernie. He's like basically like a creator of the show, and he wants to help his cousin Paperboy become like a big rapper, so he can make something of himself and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different stories, and then you have help me out here. Oh, what is his name? He's in Get Out. He's in
Stanfield.
Yeah, Lakeith Stanfield. Thank you so much. Lakeith Stanfield is one of the funniest characters in the show. He does some really weird stuff. Like I love the bit where he takes a poster of a dog to a gun range and he like wheels it out and then he starts trying to shoot at the dog poster. And then people around there are like, you can't do this. This is fucked up. You can't shoot at a dog poster. And he's like, they're shooting at like targets of people and stuff like that. And it's like, well, you don't understand. Like the dogs in my neighborhood are crazy. So kind of a deal. So I love like that bit. I love the stuff about like he's trying to get like Ernie to he's like, I can help you get more money. And like the way he like orchestrates him to get more money is just like really, really crazy. Paperboy, Brian Tyree Henry he's not like a guy who just wages jokes and stuff, but a lot of the situational stuff that happens to him that makes like his him trying to get what he wants just go bad a lot of the times. It's just really funny situational comedy, even though it's not really a sitcom. And then there's one episode that I think in the 2010s that I think is incredibly funny, and it's this one where Paperboy's just trying to get a haircut, and the whole time his barber's like, all right, man, I'm gonna cut your hair, but let's go. We got to go over to my girlfriend's house, and we got to do this and that and this and that. And then like they end up like stealing stuff, and Paperboy lies to him, and he's like, wait, is this even your car? Kind of a deal. And so there's just a lot of shenanigans that goes on. And yeah, it's right around like the 20-30 minute episode thing. So yeah, there's so much great comedy in the show. It does get deep as well. It does hit on a lot of like issues of like race and just social issues, and just makes a lot of really great commentary. And sometimes it'll have like a long build up to a joke, and then it'll hit. And I think the hits really hit that show. And it's just really incredible, and I love it. And Atlanta rules.
JPO, what do you say about Atlanta?
Yeah, no, I would just have the same dilemma as I was with the Barry dilemma, because yeah, this is a great show. It's pretty consistently involving. That's almost my only problem with the show I've ever had, is that, like, for instance, there's several episodes throughout the later seasons where it steps away from Glover and Paperboy, where I was like, oh, I want to continue that journey, but then you still really love and appreciate what he's doing on the side. Like, I almost wish he had done like bigger seasons so he could have like his off episodes and then back to Paperboy episodes, because I felt like I just wanted to see more of where those characters were going. But yeah, like you said, there is some dramatic elements, but also very funny, consistent elements. I love the barber episode he mentioned. There's another really good Paperboy episode where like he's alone and he gets like hurt and he has to make his way back to the place, and then finally they call him and he's just like, but he like downplays and he's like, yeah, this is a tough day. some crazy cameos. Alexander Skarsgård's really funny in his one episode.
Yes.
He pops up in like a really kind of irreverent, kind of crazy cameo, which is based on a true thing that happened to him too in real life. And it's really smartly written and it's a great show. So yeah, I'm happy to say yes.
And real quick, there is that one bit where it's kind of like an episodic thing, like they're watching the news or whatever, and it's the one guy who wants to be he's like transracial, so he's like a black guy who's like, I was born white, and he's like trying to like do a lot of stuff that I know it's a little cringe, but it's actually really funny. It has a lot of great commentary with it, and yeah, that one I thought also was a great joke.
But did you say yes, JPO?
Yeah, I'm good with yes. Yeah, it's a great show. So and funny enough. So yeah.
So I just want to check, Kiri. What do you say about Atlanta?
Yeah, I say yes as well. It's a fantastic show. I get what you mean, JPO, but I wind up loving those episodes that are kind of like their own weird standalone thing. Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like the show could just be this like straight story of the main characters. And sometimes it just veers off in completely different directions. And it just seems like the creators were like playing with the concept that they wanted for. Like there's the one episode about the adopted kids that I think is based on a true story that ended.
Of course, goofy movie.
And like that episode with Zazie Beetz where it's just her. I think it's in Amsterdam and somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, they travel.
That episode is so wild and I love it. Like just so many. It's such a great show.
But for that, Atlanta is going to make the list, and that brings us to the end of that section of it. So to recap the 12 movies we have on this list, got The Good Place, Parks and Rec, Bob Burgers, Community, Name for You, Schitt's Creek, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Kim's Convenience, Barry, Ken Peel, and Practical Jokers, and Atlanta. JPO, did you have any honorable mentions?
Oh yeah, let's see. Stuff I wanted to talk about. Some people might be surprised. Modern Family. That was a great show that lasted for like 10 years. No one brought up, but we mentioned a lot of great stuff that we did. Very underseen, but I loved it. It was about 3 seasons, I think. Matt LeBlanc actually had a fantastic show after Friends called Episodes that was on Showtime. It's actually Matt LeBlanc as Matt LeBlanc. They remake a show from like Britain in the U.S. and they force Matt LeBlanc on these 2 UK writers, and it's just a really good show. Louis, the Louis C.K. show on FX, another kind of like the precursor to Atlanta, I feel, where there's an overall like kind of one arc about Louis, but they also have kind of this anthological episodes around it too that are just fantastic. The League, great sports comedy there. Also FX, Silicon Valley on HBO. Happy Endings, a great 3 seasons TV show, another kind of like New Girl, Friends, like, this group of people that are really funny. Raising Hope from the My Name is Earl crew. The Goldbergs, really funny ABC show that just ended a couple of years ago. Fresh Off the Boat, Cougar Town, and Workaholics, all really funny shows that I liked a lot. So good decade.
Kiri, what are some honorable mentions you had?
I think the only one I might have brought up that wasn't mentioned, and I was hesitating in bringing it up just because it only started in 2019 and is mostly in the 2020s, is What We Do in the Shadows, which I just love that show. But I think it is better saved for a 2020s list.
Yeah,
and I think it will make it.
Yeah. And we'll say at the end of the year, I may be doing some 2020s so far episodes. But yes, some of the honorable mentions that I had is I had the musical comedy Gallivant with Timothy Olyphant in it. I think that was another one of those shows I think was really great. I didn't bring it up because I wasn't sure how many people on the panel would have seen it. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, I think, was a lot of fun. Once again, it's another one of those ones that I wasn't too sure how many people seen it. And going back to Chuck Lorre, I think Mum with Alison Janney and Anna Faris, I think, was a lot of fun. And I really I don't know how everyone else felt about it, but I really enjoyed Two Broke Girls. I think Two Broke Girls with can't remember the actress's
Kat
name.
Denning.
Kat Dennett. It was actually Beth Beers, I think, is the other one. That was the main one I was thinking about. But I think Two Broke Girls was great, and I think I think that was one of those ones that didn't really get a lot of love. And I also was considering bringing up episodes. I just didn't think people would see it. So
I would have had your back on that. I love that show.
So I just chose not to. And I would have been the only person that would have brought up Fuller House, but I did enjoy that. And I think BoJack Horseman was great as well. I was surprised that one didn't come up.
That.
Well, that and Rick and Morty. Both of those I'm surprised.
Yeah, I messed up. I would have saved my animation for Rick and Morty, but I forgot.
Yeah, but Chad, did you have any honorable mentions?
For the record, I probably would have said yes to Kimmy Schmidt. I did think that show, but I just kind of forgot about it. So that's why I didn't bring it up. I just had a few other ones. I agree with Carrie about because I was like, how has no one, especially Carrie, brought up What We Do in the Shadows yet? And then made a great case for well, it's very weighted in the 2020s, just like I Think You Should Leave is. So I totally get that. But yeah, I did have that on there for a hot minute. One that I haven't seen, I've only seen maybe 2 episodes of, but I was thinking about bringing up anyways, is Ash versus Evil Dead, because I've heard it's amazing, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I think the vibes of it kind of strays away from the movies a little bit. It's why I haven't really dove deep into it, but I want to. A show that I probably should have brought up because I think is incredible is Miracle Workers. That show is better than you think it is, and it's really good. It basically it's kind of like American Horror Story but comedy, where it's each season is a different kind of thing, but it's the same actors mostly. And it's actually very, very funny. Daniel Radcliffe is great in that show, and so is who plays God in that show? Does anybody know? Oh, it's
Steve Buscemi,
and he's amazing in it. So yeah, I kind of wish I brought that up, but I didn't think about it, or I did, but I prioritized other things, unfortunately. And then another one. Sorry.
Oh. No, the one thing I was going to say about Miracle Workers, that might have been another what we did do in the show type of thing, because it did start in 2019 as well. So.
That's true. That's true, actually. So maybe that's a 2020s one. But another one that I love is kind of in the same vein as My Name is Earl, which is one of my favorite shows. Is Raising Hope.
What was that? Oh, Raising Hope.
My Name is Earl is in the 2000s, but Raising Hope was in the 2010s. And it's I think it's the same kind of creators as My Name is Earl. So I love both shows. I prefer My Name is Earl, but Raising Hope I thought was actually pretty incredible as well.
Now there's an episode of Hope where it's the entire cast of Earls in it.
Yeah. So but I didn't know how many people would have seen that one, so I didn't prioritize it, but it would have come up eventually. Yeah. At least it kept saying no. That's it.
Yeah, but with that, we're going to get to the fun part of actually voting on these. Write down on whiteboard, or just say it depending on if you've got one handy. But real trivia players all should have a whiteboard handy most times. But yeah, if there is a tie, we'll go to the chats if there's anyone there, or I will do a real no one chimes up in the chat that's not from one of JPO's other channels. But Chad, what do you have for 12?
I didn't write it down, but I'm gonna go with Kim's Convenience for 12.
JPO, what do you have for 12?
I got Impractical Jokers.
Kerry, what do you have for 12?
Fair.
I also went Impractical Jokers.
Not bad.
I mean, it's one of those ones I'm breaking my own rule that I normally do on this, and voting for stuff I haven't seen, but I've only seen 4 things that have made the list.
Oh wow.
But most of them are very high up, so it's I'm not going to try and get them low.
Yeah.
But anyway, JPL, what do you have for 11?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, Joker's. Schitt's Creek.
Kiri.
I'm sticking with Nathan for you.
I'm also going to go Nathan for you. Chad.
I'll stick with Kim's Convenience for now.
But Nathan for you is going to be at number 11. And Kiri, what do you have for 10?
Kim's Convenience.
I'm going with Atlanta. Chad.
Yeah, I'll stick with Kim's Convenience.
JPO.
Schitt's Creek.
But Kim's Convenience is going to conveniently go at 10.
Hey.
But I'm sticking with Atlanta. Chad.
Now I got to shift. It's hard because the rest I think are just incredible. I think Atlanta is fine at 9, personally. Yeah.
JPO.
Schitt's Creek.
Kiri.
I said Key and Peele.
But Atlanta is going to go at 9. Chad, what do you have for 8?
Yeah, I guess because like sketch comedy, I'll say Key and Peele is good at 8, personally. Yeah.
JPO.
Schitt's Creek. That's a knock on sketch comedy. I didn't like that at all.
Sorry. You're right. Shame on me.
Kiri.
Oh, sorry. I stuck with Key and Peele.
I went with Barry, but unfortunately, Key and Peele is going to go at 8. The fact of sketch comedy is the reason I wasn't voting it. It is when I do some of that kind of comedy stuff I do like. I do like a lot of those sketch comedy shows.
Same, true. Yeah.
But JPO, what do you have for 7?
Schitt's Creek.
Kiri.
I put Barry.
I also put Barry. Chad.
Normally, I'm not on Malcolm's wavelengths, but I think he's picking good picks a lot of the time. I'll say Barry is a good spot at 7.
I mean, out of the ones I haven't seen, I'm just voting on the order that I would probably watch.
Oh, fair. Nice.
That's kind of how I'm doing it. But there's no knock on these qualities of the shows at all either. But and JBU started off, didn't you? Barry's going to be at 7 because I think JPO started it off. Just to recap what's left. Okay, remember. I've got The Good Place, Parks and Rec, Bob's Burgers, Community. Schitt's Creek is still there. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is still there. And that is all.
Wait, what was 8?
8 was Kim's.
Key and Peele.
8. Key and Peele.
Thank you.
Kiri, what do you have for 6?
I put Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I put Schitt's Creek. Chad.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'll go Brooklyn Nine-Nine then.
No, he's voting strategically now. Schitt's Creek.
It's a tie between Schitt's Creek and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Does anyone in the chat say which one you want to be at 6 to break up tight? Otherwise, I'll really get a real.
I just want Schitt's Creek in the top 5.
Me too.
I mean, 6 wouldn't be a bad place for either of these shows. They're, it's full.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do have someone in the chat. It is Leo, and it is going to be Schitt's Creek.
Of course.
I'm sorry.
Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's great.
Yeah, I gotta finish it. I gotta even like season 3 it probably. Top 5.
All right. But I've got The Good Place. Chad.
I'll stick with Brooklyn Nine-Nine for now.
JPO.
Gee, fuck you, Good Place this low. Bob's Burgers.
Here.
I stuck with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, I mean, your anger you have towards The Good Place is kind of how I'm feeling, because I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine deserves to be higher. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine is going to be at 5.
9.
Chad, what do you have for number 4?
Number 4, I'm going to break Carrie's heart, but I'm going to also say Bob's Burgers.
Top 5 is pretty good.
Top 4.
Top 4, yeah.
JPO, what do you have for 4?
Robert's Burgers.
Kerry.
Community.
Sticking with The Good Place, but Bob's Burgers is going to be at 4. JPO, what do you have for number 3?
Up next, we got
Heavy hitters.
Community. Yeah, I don't want to say Community.
Kerry.
I stuck with Community.
Sticking with The Good Place. Chad.
That's my 1 and 2 you guys just said. I'll go Parks and Rec. Shit.
Community is going to be at 3.
I couldn't say Good Place, unfortunately.
But we've got The Good Place and Parks and Rec left.
Oh, we'll do the winning thing, all right?
And now we just go for the number 1. But Kerry, what do you have for number 1?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Chad.
Parks and Rec, I think, is a great show, but The Good Place is a perfect show. I'm going Good Place.
Hold on. Shit. Okay, I'm going to try to get my girlfriend to get in on chat. Because it's a good place. What channel is that? Shit, no, I want The Good Place to win.
So
good
we've
place,
got to
please.
try
Never watch it.
Chat, Good Place or Parks and Rec.
Shit, I should have told her to watch.
The first comment I see is going to be the one that's going to decide the tie-break. Otherwise, I will set up a reel.
It's a great
What channel
top
is this on, Malcolm?
regardless.
What channel is this again?
Take 3.
Take 3 Productions.
Take 3. Fuck, I thought it was Multiplace was in my mind.
But unfortunately, Leo has got an in. It's going to be Parks and Rec as number 1. The Good
Leo,
Place.
you son of a bitch. That's a great.
I mean, it's a good show. It's just very flawed, but it's okay. It's a fine number 1.
Oh man, The Good
It's
Place.
just not perfect like
it's
Good
the
Place.
most evolving show that was super funny, always changing,
Yeah.
and it's maybe the best finale of all. Come on.
Hey, it's at number 2.
Great show. I love
There you
Parks
go.
Don't be sweat.
But that is the end of this episode of Rankum. But to recap the top 12, at number 12 we've got Impractical Jokers. At 11 we've got Neighbor for You. At 10 we've got Kim's Convenience. At 9 we've got Atlanta. At 8 we've got Key and Peele. At 7 we've got Barry. At 6 we've got Schitt's Creek. At 5 we've got Brooklyn Nine-Nine. At 4, we got Bob's Burgers. At 3, we got Community. At 2, we got The Good Place. And number 1, we got Parks and Rec. That there's a lot of good shows on there that I haven't seen. But with that, next week's episode of Rankum is going to be. And I'm pretty sure people did this to force me to rewatch a certain robot franchise, but it's going to be top 12 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies is going to be next week's Rankum. But it should be fun. But Chad, where can people find you online?
Oh, me? Yeah, check out my channel, Chadwick Webb, where we rank things and do other stuff. Mostly rank things. You Ranking With Me is the show that we have on there. It's a lot of fun. Check out the Dill Pickle Movie Network. He does Dylan Randazzo does a lot of great stuff over there, including pretty much every movie, game, or type of review show that you can name. He does it pretty much. But the show that I mainly do with him is called Picture This, and we're on a mission to basically watch every Best Picture nominee known to man. So yeah, we've had a lot of great discussion over there, trying to figure out what we would pick as the best picture. Sometimes it overlaps with what the Oscars pick. Most of the time it doesn't, I would say, because they don't always get it right. But yeah, we're doing for this month we're doing we already did 1943. I'm not sure if that's released yet, but it's Casablanca for Love Month, and then next month is actually we're going to do 2023 because of the Oscars. So look forward to a lot of great movies in that slate. So I look forward to that. And then also check out the actually, you know what? I'll let Carrie do the show we do together.
JPO, we can be on you online.
What? You knew it was me? Oh. It was me the whole time.
I mean, it helps that your name is still JPL the court.
Oh, shoot. I'm really bad at this hidden identity stuff. You can find me looking for my fan. I think I lost my fan. Damn it. I have to go to Amazon, buy a new fan. You can find me over at the Pierce Code channel. We do some movie trivia. In fact, we're about to start the semifinals of the yearly tournament pretty soon here, so that's going to be a lot of fun. As well as over there. Hey, we also do some countdowns over there. We do some other things, drafts, weird different kinds of trivias, clips, and Pierce Wrestling, similar idea, but for wrestling. And yeah, thanks, Malcolm, for having me. And for those of you next week, get in the chopper.
But Carrie, we can be on you online.
Yeah, as Chad mentioned, he and I have a show on Hunter Chambliss's network, Nerd Entertainment Network, called Welcome to Primetime, where we discuss all things horror. So you can check us out there.
And Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
I like the Buffy. Someone randomly played the theme song during yesterday's wrestling show in Tampa. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
And yeah, you can find me on Take 3 Productions hosting Rankum every week. Next week we'll be doing top 12 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. You can also find me here tomorrow as with our other show Gone for the Win, as we talk about the state of the Oscar race. We'll be talking about the SAG Awards, PGA Awards, among some other awards that were announced there. We might even talk about the WGA nominations, even though they don't have any impact towards the Oscars anymore. But it's just because they released their nominations, they now hit. Yeah, anyway. But you can also find me popping up on other channels. I believe I'm going to be on Tournament Fights tomorrow as they finish off their 200 episode celebrations. They moved it for reasons. But yeah, and above that, we'll see you all next time. And yeah, going out with.
Can I just say, I loved you in